Reading with your kids.
Welcome to this special Halloween edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the haunted neighborhood of Reedville, in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. Today, 5 members of the spooky middle grade authors group are here to read an original short story that I call Trapped in the App. Get ready for a spooky podcast. I am so excited. Once again, the authors from the spooky middle grade authors are here to tell us an original spooky story they created just for the Reading with Your Kids podcast. And most of our guests tonight have a strange connection with the state of Oklahoma. I'm going to welcome our guest today. First, coming to us from the beautiful state of Oklahoma, Kim Ventrella. Hey, Kim, how are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, Jed.
This is, I think, your third or fourth appearance on the podcast.
It's true. I keep on coming back.
And we love that you keep on coming back. This is like a podcast that's haunted by all these wonderful spirits.
Absolutely. And spirits are one of my favorite things. And this is my favorite time of year. So super excited to be back.
Yeah. And you have a really neat shirt on. Are those spirits flying across your shirt?
These are skeleton cats. So have to rock the skeletons.
There was an owl chomping on something. I don't know if it was a cat or a squirrel, but it was awfully sad and awfully loud last night.
Well, there's a story for you, right?
Kim is going to start us off on the story in just a little bit. But first, I also want to bring back to the show someone who was part of our first live solo interview in a bookstore. Please welcome back Erin Petti. Hey, Erin, how are you?
Hey, Jed. Great. How are you? Thank you so much for having us here tonight.
I'm so excited to have you on. Erin is just down the road on the south shore of Massachusetts, and we're experiencing a little bit of cold here in Massachusetts.
Oh, you know what, though? I think it's pitch perfect for the Halloween season. I put on my real deal fall jacket yesterday for the first time. And I don't know. It feels like I'm in my element. I'm pretty happy with the chill.
Well, I don't have a real deal fall jacket, but I do have it's double hoodie time for me.
There you go. Nice and cozy.
There you go. Hey, Sarah Cannon is also here. Sarah, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be back.
Tell us, and I'm going to go back to Erin and Kim to tell us their latest books and where we can go to find them. So, Sarah, can you tell us your latest book?
Absolutely. My latest book is called Twist. It's set in Tulsa, Oklahoma, as a matter of fact. So we're just going to keep rolling with this trend.
And what's going on in Tulsa, Oklahoma that we need to be interested in?
Well, it's a very spooky place. Twist is set in the 80s in a suburban neighborhood that really invites a lot of kids' creativity. So you've got one kid drawing a sketchbook of their ideal neighborhood and creatures that have come to magically inhabit that notebook. Then you've got monsters that are haunting the friendly creatures that are the brainchildren of a young man who's bucking to be the next Stephen King. And fortunately for them, they have a friend whose favorite hobby is getting both into and out of trouble. So when the monsters and the friendly creatures all come exploding out of the notebook and into their neighborhood, they are in good company as they work together to defeat the monsters.
Ooh, sounds good. I just finished listening to the latest Stephen King novel on my epic cross-continent drive, and it took most of the drive to listen. He writes very long stories.
He does.
Malinenko is joining us from where all the cool kids live in Brooklyn, New York. Hey, Allie, welcome back.
Hey, Jed. Thanks for having me.
What's your latest title?
So my latest book is called Disappearing House, and it is a haunted house story. It's a story of Jack and her best friend Hazel, who discover a house that just appeared at the end of the street. And once they go inside, they can't get back out. And they are chased from room to room until Jack realizes that the house is sort of a puzzle and it's really about her facing her past. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Pretty deep. And this is a middle grade novel.
Yep.
Wow, I like that. Hey, brand new to the show, the first-time guest is here from Spokane, Washington. I actually considered doing, since my epic journey across the continent took me from Boston to Orlando to St. Louis to Los Angeles, I thought about going up to Spokane, but then I'm like, that'll add another week to the trip, and my wife will not be happy about that.
We're having a gorgeous fall. You missed out.
Oh, wow. That's the voice of Lora Senf. Hey, Laura, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Tell us the latest title that you've released.
I have one book out in the world, and it's called The Clackety. It came out this summer, and The Clackety is the story of 12-year-old Evie, and she lives in the 7th most haunted town in America per capita, which is called Blight Harbor, and it's not in Oklahoma. So I just wanted to make that real clear. Evie lives with her aunt Desdemona, and Des is a paranormal expert in that haunted town. One day Des goes missing and Evie has to rescue her, and to do that, she has to make a deal with a creature called the Clackety. Not really a creature to be trusted, but Evie doesn't have much of a choice. And so the story is about Evie's adventure trying to find her aunt, and she meets some questionable creatures and makes some friends and hopefully finds her aunt by the end of the story.
Wow. I love that name, the Clackety.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Hey, before we start, Erin, please let us know what your latest title is.
Sure. Thanks, Jed. So the last time we were together, we talked a lot about The Peculiar Haunting of Thelma B., which is my first novel. Mm-hmm. And it's about an 11-year-old scientist named Thelma, and she has a huge paranormal adventure when a ghost turns her life upside down. And I just released this fall the sequel to that book. So the name of the book is Thelma B. in Toil and Trouble. And Thelma continues her wild paranormal adventures with her ghost hunting team. And this time complicated by the fact that some TV ghost hunters swoop into town. And they are in possession of some objects that they don't know how to wield. And things get very, very complicated. And Thelma and her friends have to untangle the mess, figure out who's behind all of these dark magic goings on, and save the day before time runs out.
TV ghost hunters who don't know what they're doing. That sounds familiar.
No judgment on any real life TV ghost hunters, but the ones in Thelma's adventure are bungling things just a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
And if I recall right, when we were down at Books and Sundry in Plymouth, yes, right across from the harbor, one of the people in the audience asked you about this unusual dish or dinner that was part of one of your stories. Am I remembering that right?
There's a lot of food in Thelma's story because Thelma really likes to snack. So it could be a number of different things. She continues her true and authentic enjoyment of pancakes and all baked goods in this adventure. I can guarantee that.
That's wonderful. And before we ask Kim to start the story, Kim, please let us know what your latest title is. What should we be looking for?
Oh, absolutely. And it does have an Oklahoma connection, so we'll just circle back to that. The Secret Life of Sam is a story of 12-year-old Sam, and his whole life is growing up in the swamps of Louisiana with his dad. His favorite thing is to go out on the canoe, like their house is right on the swamps, and listen to his dad tell these amazing tall tales about all of his wild adventures and the supposed giant alligator named the Colonel that's haunting the swamps. But before the book begins, Sam loses his dad suddenly in a car accident. And then he's taken halfway across the country by an aunt that he hasn't talked to in 4 years. He doesn't know why, to this small town in Oklahoma. So all he wants is to get his old life back and go home. And one day he discovers this mysterious tree behind his new school. And what he learns is that once a day, the hollow in the center of this tree opens up at the exact time of his dad's car accident. And he can actually crawl inside this hollow and be transported back home to the swamps of Louisiana. And everything's a little sinister and larger than life. But when he gets to the edge of the water, he sees his old canoe just sitting there waiting for him. And as soon as he climbs in, it starts gliding across the water without him even having to paddle. And he climbs on the dock and hears whistling from around the side of the house. And he knows that that's his dad. So he feels like he's gotten everything that he ever wanted. And his dad, you know, even better, his dad doesn't remember that he's dead. So Sam's like, he's gotten it all until he learns that pretty soon this doorway will close. It only stays open for a few minutes a day, and pretty soon it will close for good. So it becomes his mission to try to keep this doorway open and stay with his dad for good. So that's The Secret Life of Sam.
Awesome. Well, I think everybody out there listening knows the imagination of our authors here tonight, so I can't wait to hear the story that you created for the podcast. So, Kim, please take it away.
All right, let me get us started here. Jackie's leg was itching again, the bad kind of itch, like she had ants chowing down on her skin. She wiggled a pencil into her cast, but couldn't reach the spot. She could never reach the spot. Outside, her dog Lucy, short for Lucifer, was chasing a soccer ball across the yard. Her soccer ball. But it was kind of hard to run with a broken leg. Hun, the therapist should be calling any minute. Did you get your iPad out? Mom peeked into her room, phone in one hand, laptop in the other. This whole working from home thing was not helping her stay chill. Just don't miss it, okay? I'm worried about you. Jackie gaped at her mom. You realize that I'm fine. You're the one who thinks I need help. Sorry, Bill, I'm here. No, we need the expense reports for the first quarter. Exactly. Mom turned back to Jackie, a frizzy strand of hair stuck to her lip gloss. Please do this for me. I know how hard it is not playing in the state championship. Promise we can eat popcorn for dinner. You always want popcorn for dinner. Jackie jumped as her iPad started to vibrate. It's her. Love you so much. Mom rushed in and kissed her head, nearly dropping her laptop. Tell me about it afterward, okay? Okay, Mom. She waited to answer until Mom left. The image on the screen took a moment to clear up. The woman smiling back at her had messy gray curls, an eyebrow ring, and she was wearing a t-shirt from Mom's favorite band, Metallica. I bet you want to get this over with, am I right? My name's Melissa, but you can call me Mel, and I'm really just here to listen. She had a gravelly voice that reminded her of Grandpa, and like him, she never stopped smiling. Your mom said you want to talk about a recent injury? Jackie swallowed. She didn't want to talk about anything, but she knew Mom wouldn't stop worrying until she got her feelings figured out or whatever. I guess. Right on. I mean, not about the injury. That's a tough one, kid. But we'll get you all sorted out. Now I just need you to do one thing for me first. Mel fished a phone from a pile of junk on her desk and began tapping. Just a little app I like to use to track my clients. Jackie's phone pinged in her pocket. She took it out and looked at the screen. Don't worry, I won't give you homework. Just take a quick selfie so I don't forget that cutie patootie face. I'll wait till you're done. The app didn't have a name as far as she could tell, but she hit download and waited for it to open. She expected a welcome screen or some kind of intro, but the app immediately asked to access her camera. She clicked yes and stared back at her own face on the screen. Don't worry about looking Insta-worthy or anything. Mel unwrapped a sucker and stuck it in her mouth. Nobody's gonna see it but me. Go on. Jackie usually didn't mind taking pictures, but something about the lighting made her look strange. Shadows pooled in her cheeks, and her pupils looked black, like those creepy memes she'd seen of black-eyed children. Whatever, she just wanted to get this over with. Her phone made a shutter sound as she took the picture. Usually it would be over in a second, but the shutter sound kept going. And for a moment, it was like the screen was a vacuum, drawing her into it. She felt that pressure, like when you're at the top of a roller coaster waiting to go down, intense and heart-stopping, like she couldn't think or move till the moment passed. Then the shutter sound ended and she let out a sudden gasp. Good job, kid, Mel said, but she wasn't listening. She was too busy looking at her selfie on the screen. Her skin was pulled too tight against her bones. Her lips twisted in a snarl, revealing thick yellow teeth. She pushed the phone away from her, looking up at Mel in disbelief.
Is there like some kind of filter on this app? Jackie began to ask, unable to take her eyes off the strange image. But she was quickly interrupted. Do you consider yourself a high-achieving kid? Mel's voice chimed. Honor society, varsity sports, class president, the whole shebang? The therapist moved the sucker from one side of her mouth to the other. Not really. I just love playing soccer. I get good grades, kind of, Jackie replied. What kind of grades? Be specific, she asked. Mel's eyes flashed with an intense curiosity. Well, okay. Jackie failed to see what her report card had to do with her emotional well-being. I get straight A's in English and history, A's or B's in math. I had a bad quarter in Spanish, so... That must have caused you some anxiety, Mel said. Then under her breath, she added, delicious. What? Jackie jerked to attention. She glanced at Mel's eyes staring back at her from the screen. She couldn't help but think they looked a little too intense, hungry somehow. That's when the itch got her attention again. Jackie grunted out loud, despite herself. This cast itch was going to be the thing that pushed her over the deep end for real. She grabbed her pencil and positioned it for itch termination again. Tell me more about yourself, Jackie. Let's talk about the big issues. Give me something good. Is there a special person in your life? A boyfriend or girlfriend? Excuse me? Jackie snapped. She felt very sure that this was none of this lady's business. She scowled a little, pushing the pencil down her cast to scratch the itch. But this time she didn't have to wiggle and jiggle it at all. It fit easily. Jackie froze. That was weird. But upon closer inspection, she noticed something worse than weird. Part of her leg wasn't there anymore. Jackie's eyes widened and her breath caught up in her chest. She closed her eyes to get a hold of herself. Her imagination, or maybe the numbness from the cast, was messing with her. She just had to get a grip. She closed her eyes for a moment and thought about taking some deep breaths. But the sound of her phone jerked her back to reality. It was her camera shutter again.
What's up with this app? Jackie asked. Is it malfunctioning or something? Oh, who knows, giggled Mel. I'm not a developer, just an end user. But let's get back to you, hun. Does it feel like part of you is missing? Jackie resisted the urge to stick the pencil down her cast again. No way had that been real. She was stuck in the house with her mom and no exercise. Her mind was playing tricks on her. I feel great, she said, pasting on a smile of her own. 6 weeks and I'm back to normal. I can join swim team or play indoor soccer. Are you sure? Asked Mel. I heard you recently lost a big opportunity. It's fine. She'd only been the starting forward, about to lead her team to its biggest victory ever. Then Jackie realized she'd just shouted at her therapist and lowered her voice before her mom came out to check on her. It's whatever. Can we move on? Sometimes we have to dig deeper into the things that upset us, said Mel. Her smile was starting to bother Jackie. She decided it wasn't like her grandpa's at all. It was too big and too intense, almost like Mel was baring her teeth. Jackie wiggled her toes against the scratchy edge of her cast, a fidget she'd developed over the last week. Weird. She couldn't feel the rough edge of the mesh. Couldn't feel her feet either now that she thought about it. They must be asleep, but shouldn't she be getting pins and needles as hard as she was wiggling them? She tried to peer under the edge of the desk. Jack, interrupted Mel. You're not listening, cutie. Where did Mom find this person? Adequate help? Jackie and Mel were nowhere near nickname territory. Jackie scowled. I asked you about your family. Your mom said you haven't heard from your dad since you broke your leg. Let's talk about that. The camera shutter noise happened again. Jackie knew her mouth was open like a fish's. It would be the worst selfie ever. She reached down to slap her hand over the screen. My phone was sleeping, she exclaimed. How's it even doing that? Who knows why technology does what it does, trilled Mel. Now about your dad. The phone vibrated under Jackie's hand. She used a trick her mom liked to do during dinner and flipped it over so she couldn't see the screen. "I'm here to talk about my leg, not my dad," she said, giving Mel a challenging stare. Mel's smile grew wider, and suddenly Jackie's cast hit the floor under the desk with a hollow, empty thump.
Yes, your leg, Mel said, dragging out the syllables. We'll get to that. But don't you think it's strange that Dad hasn't been around? I mean, you are hurt. I'm not... But that was as far as she got before her phone shuddered again. She picked it up and turned it over. It was a picture of her, which made no sense because it was face down. But this time, instead of looking strange, she was faded, disappearing. What was happening? Jackie pushed her chair back. You with me, Jack? I feel like you're fading out or something. Jack stared down at her leg, or at least what should have been her leg, but she saw nothing. The cast lay on the floor, and the space where her leg should have been was just empty air, like she had been erased. What's happening? Jackie whispered. She needed to get her mom. She knew that. Something terrible was going on. Her phone shuddered again, and with shaking hands, when she lifted it, there was her image again. Only this time, her hands were held up as if she was trying to stop the photo, and her fingers were translucent. Jackie held her own fingers in front of her face. Did they look like they were disappearing too? Jackie, you listening? Mel asked, leaning closer to the camera. Jackie couldn't be sure why, but for some reason, she felt like the woman was going to crawl right through the screen. You seem to be fading out on me. She smiled a cool, dark smile that didn't reach her eyes. Jackie held her hands up again, and all that was left of her fingers was just an outline. Cat got your tongue? Mel said with a giggle that sounded off. Wrong. Jackie tried to scream for her mom, but nothing came out. She could feel the air leaving her lungs, pushing up her throat into her vocal cords, but there was nothing. Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic, she thought, but panic was exactly what she was feeling.
Jackie's brain was moving at light speed. What kind of game is this? Not any game I ever wanted to play. I don't like to lose games, not even messed up games like this. There's always a way to win when you're down. There's always a play. And then her mind got very quiet and very organized, which is exactly what happened on the soccer field when her team was down a goal and the clock was running out. Jackie was pretty school smart, but she was extra soccer smart, which is a fast sort of smart. She figured there wasn't much time left on Mel's game clock, and she didn't think there'd be extra time at the end of this match. Jackie knew she had time for exactly one play. Thank you, Jackie whispered, because whispering was all she could do at this point. Excuse me? Mel's smile slipped just a little, and her eyebrows furrowed the tiniest bit, but it was enough to tell Jackie she was making the right move, feinting to the left when Mel expected her to go right. Thank you. I'm glad you're doing this. You know, eating me or whatever. Mel took the lollipop out of her mouth and dropped it off somewhere off screen. Her throat hitched, like she gagged a little. Mel started to reply, but Jackie interrupted with a raspy, I think I feel better. Lighter, like I have less weighing me down. Mel muted her mic and turned away from the camera, but Jackie could tell she was really gagging now. Maybe more than gagging. When Mel faced the camera again, she was wiping her mouth. Something wispy clung to Mel's fingers long enough for Jackie to see it was sort of, Jackie-colored, before it evaporated into the air around Mel. That made Jackie want to gag a little, but she kept her game face on. Jackie felt a warmth and a there-ness returning to her hands, but she didn't risk glancing at them to confirm in case she gave away her strategy. This was working, she was sure of it. I just want you to know how much you're helping me. Jackie's voice was stronger now, no more whispering. You're making such a positive difference in my life. The color drained from Mel, literally. She turned a sickly sort of pale ash right before Jackie's eyes. I don't help. Mel struggled to get the words out. Now she was the one whispering, and as she did, more of that Jackie-colored wispy stuff seeped from her mouth like a fog. Oh, you do. Jackie was smiling now, both because she was winning and because she could wiggle her toes, and even better, her leg felt just fine. She didn't think she'd be needing that cast any longer. You help and help and help, and you fixed me, and now I feel healthy. You don't. Mel was almost begging. Jackie could see straight through Mel's face now, light from the window behind, shining right through her. I feel whole, Jackie continued. No. But Mel's voice was entirely gone now, as was most of Mel, so she only mouthed the word. I feel alive. And she did. Jackie felt great. Mel didn't say anything at all because she couldn't. The band shirt Mel had been wearing fell down, and out of sight, a faint click came through Jackie's speakers. It was the sound of Mel's eyebrow ring dropping onto her desk now that there was no Mel left to keep it in place. Goal. Jackie shut off her iPad, but not before closing the Mel app on her phone. Jackie closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and quietly celebrated her comeback win. All done, Mom, she called. Already? Her mom responded from the next room. Yep, it was interesting. Interesting good? Jackie thought about it before responding. She rolled her ankle one way and then the other, stretched her no longer injured leg. Yeah, interesting good. Jackie stood up and tested her leg before putting all her weight on it. It held. It was strong. And, Mom, there's something I have to show you. There in a minute. Oh, and I think your dad's going to call you. Jackie didn't reply. It's a good thing, honey. I bet he'll be ready to really talk to you now. I hope so, Jackie called. I hope it won't just be another of his games. But if it was, she'd be ready. She drummed her fingers on her phone. Jackie had closed the Mel app, but she hadn't uninstalled it.
Bravo, 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 my friends. That was awesome. I love it. I love it. Talk about twists and turns. I didn't see any of that coming, and it was so much fun. Wow. Another great Halloween from our friends at the Spooky Middle Grade Authors. I know after listening to that story, everybody's going to want to know where they can go to connect with all of you. So why don't we go around the horn? Kim, can you remind everybody where they can go to find out more about your books and more about you?
Absolutely. They can head over to kimventrella.com or find me on social media at kimventrella. And if anyone wants to find out more about the group or booking our free virtual visits for kids in grades 3 through 8, they can head over to spookymiddlegrade.com.
Awesome. Erin, please tell everybody where we can find you.
Sure thing. So my website is erinpettibooks.com, and it's Petti, not like Tom Petty, which is with the Y. So the little caveat there since we're audio. And yes, please check out the Spooky Middle Grade website because we have so much fun doing these free virtual visits for classrooms. So definitely check that out too.
Yeah. And Sarah, where can we find you?
You can check me out at sarahcannonbooks.com. The books part is important. I have the same real name as an actress whose stage name was Minnie Pearl. You will not find this if you just search Sarah Cannon. I've got Common Core line teaching guides there for both of my books. And yeah, we love doing spooky visits, so you can always find us there too.
Allie, other than Brooklyn at a coffee shop, where can we find you?
So my website is AllieMalinenko.com. I am on the socials. It's just at Allie Malinenko because I'm very boring like that. And I'm just fourthing, I suppose, at this point, the Spooky Middle Grade group because it's a lot of fun. And so teachers and librarians come and book visits with us. We do it year round.
And it's incredible that you offer free classroom visits. That's wonderful. Laura, where can we find out more about you?
Sure, I'm at LoraSenf.com. It's Lora. And the other place you can usually find me is Twitter because I spend way too much time there, and that's Lora013. So Lora013. Easy to find me there way too often. And this group is amazing. We would love to visit more classrooms, get to meet more students. So we want to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank our guests from the Spooky Middle Grade Authors. It's spookymiddlegrade.com, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's awesome. And we want to thank Kim Ventrella, Erin Petti, Sarah Cannon, Allie Malinenko, and Lora Senf. My friends, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest could be spooky to you. It's Mike Chavez. He'll be here to talk to us about how we can help our kids become financially literate. And maybe how we can become financially literate. You might remember Mike was on before to tell us all about his Uncle Mikey Reads YouTube channel. He has a new channel. It's called Finances with Mike. That's the next episode of the podcast. Hey, we want to invite you to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at readingwithyourkids on Instagram, at Gently Magic on Twitter. And of course, we'd love it if you could visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to start by thanking our guests, Erin Petti, Kim Ventrella, Sarah Cannon, Ali Malinenko, and Lora Senf. I also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Mirabella Q, Jordan Saley. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support and love she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better and spookier place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.